Just a quick heads up, Marijuana Nation. We're going to be publishing a little late all this week as I'm spending some time, as I do every fall and spring, teaching little kids how to play Ultimate Frisbee. We'll be back with our normal publishing schedule on Monday next week, but this week will be a couple hours behind each day. Thanks for the presumed patience. This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by the folks over at Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease is now active in Los Angeles, which means you could be just minutes away from getting your order for legal cannabis in, should you live in LA and be putting in an order during the hours which delivery is allowed. Ease puts a lot of time and energy into making sure that they and all their partner dispensaries stay in compliance with all of California legal marijuana law. That kind of sharp diligence translates to a better buying experience for you, the Ease customer, who knows you'll only find top quality legal cannabis products for sale over at ease.com. With most deliveries taking place in about an hour, buying great legal cannabis products has never been so easy. Just swing over to ease.com to first see if your part of California is allowing for legal marijuana and if Ease is active there. And then if you're green to go on both counts, go ahead and get your order in. That's ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E. Big thanks to everyone over at Ease for all the support. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Monday, April 30th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 479 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story today is a headline that broke on Friday up in my corner of the country here in Maine, with our obstructionist Governor Paul LePage doing some good old-fashioned obstruction with a veto of a proposed measure setting up an adult-use marijuana sales program as mandated by Maine voters back in 2016. Governor LePage, who was responsible for killing a comprehensive adult use bill at the end of last year, said he was worried about a proposed plan to tax adult use in medical marijuana at different rates, saying that people would fake being patients to enjoy tax savings, even though it makes sense for very few consumers to actually do that, financially and logistically speaking. Never one to let facts or public opinion or the law or the Constitution get in the way of his warped worldview, LePage said that the state had seen a big jump in motor vehicle fatalities associated with marijuana, even though no such thing is true in any way at all. The guy is just lying. He's a liar. We'll see how this plays out in the coming days. The legislation vetoed by Governor LePage passed originally by veto-proof margins, but only just barely. So it's not inconceivable that LePage could flex some power and peel off a few lucky state lawmakers to sustain his veto. In a day of big top stories, we have another whale of a headline as news broke also on Friday that the Cannabist, the Denver Post's marijuana-focused website, is laying off the entirety of its editorial staff and morphing into a bot-driven webpage of Denver Post and Associated Press cannabis stories. Former Cannabist writer and host Jake Brown started tweeting about the closings Friday afternoon. The Cannabist's founding editor-in-chief, Ricardo Baca, now with his own industry PR firm, put out a statement laying the blame for the closure on the short-sightedness of Digital First Media, the hedge fund owners of the Denver Post, as well as a number of other U.S. newspapers. As Tom Angel's piece over Marijuana Moment has it, Mr. Baca said that he's reached out to the Denver Post to let them know he'd be interested in acquiring the site should they want to sell it. The Cannabist's original stories pop up all the time here on the Daily, so we're sad to see them go, especially because it sounds like it happened because of cutthroat hedge fund tactical thinking, not any kind of depression in cannabis media. Our final story today is a good one, as the city of Seattle moved at the end of last week to retroactively throw out all misdemeanor marijuana convictions, which according to the office of Mayor Jenny Durkin would affect 542 people. The city also filed a request to throw out all current outstanding possession charges for cannabis. This is great news that we're starting to see out west and hope to see more of as the progressive wave of legalization rolls on. Open up Fortune for more on this one. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz it in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. If you care about getting top-quality legal marijuana products that adhere to all relevant Golden State rules and regulations for legal cannabis, then ease.com is where you want to go. Their strict discipline in maintaining compliance extends to all their partner dispensaries, meaning you always get exactly what you pay for: properly tested, labeled, and packaged legal cannabis products, delivered right to you, usually within an hour. Take advantage of all the hard work Ease does in maintaining compliance by enjoying their better buying experience and quality selections that result. Just zip over to ease.com, which is spelled EAZE. That's ease.com for all your legal California marijuana delivery needs. All right, time for the blitz. The Fresh Toast has a good story up about an interesting cannabis-related twist in the story of President Donald Trump's corrupt lawyer Michael Cohen, who's under investigation by the FBI for a raft of crimes committed on behalf of the president, and who reportedly invested $26 million in a Nevada-based medical marijuana business. Click over to the Fresh Toast for the full read on this one and for a link to an AP story with more details. Dan Adams over at the Boston Globe has a great longer form piece up about Dr. Lester Grinspoon, a psychiatrist and academic researcher at Harvard who is known in the world of marijuana as one of the founders of legitimate cannabis science. Dr. Grinspoon's 1971 book, Marijuana Reconsidered, was as controversial as it was influential and popular, and earned Grinspoon the personal ire of President Richard Nixon, who was upset with the book's factual and evidence-based look at cannabis. Many believe that controversy led to Dr. Grinspoon being denied twice a full professorship at Harvard, where he worked until retiring in the year 2000. I can personally attest to the impact of his book, as back in the late 90s, when I was an 18-year-old student activist starting up a group that would become the first chapter of Students for Sensible Drug Policy, Marijuana Reconsidered was one of the more well-read books in my drug policy library. This is another good one to read in full. Leafly picked up 5 aspects of British Columbia's new proposed plan for implementing legal adult use cannabis that could spark some debate. This is one you should click over for the full read, but some of the more contentious items include language that would seemingly make illegal the gathering of 2 adults if they're both carrying the maximum amount of cannabis allowed on one's person, as well as jail time imposed for being, quote, intoxicated from cannabis, unquote. The British Columbia legislature will be working this one over in the next week or so we'll check back with any relevant updates. The state of Michigan recently certified a ballot measure to legalize adult use marijuana, and as Rick Thompson over at Weed News nicely explains, the certification adds a bit of an interesting twist into the local state political scene. I've touched on this issue a bit in recent weeks with stories about discussions within the ranks of Michigan Republican leaders to stave off that ballot measure by instead passing legislation to accomplish its stated goal of legalizing adult use marijuana. You may be asking yourself why the Michigan GOP would want to do that, what with them being generally opposed to that sort of progressive measure, and the answer is voter suppression, which Republicans are very much in favor of. In this case, Michigan state Republicans want progressive voters to stay at home in November, so they might be willing to swallow their distaste of cannabis legalization to better their chances of not being booted out of office by the coming blue wave later this year. This is a quickly developing story that we'll keep a close eye on. On Friday morning, the Vermont House of Representatives voted down a bill that would expand the recently passed plan to legalize the cultivation, possession, sharing, and use of adult use cannabis. As it stands now, a commercial sales system is not part of that plan, which Vermont House Bill 167 would have remedied. However, Vermont House lawmakers weren't ready to shake things up further quite yet and voted the bill down by a count of 106 to 28. The Orange County Register takes a good look at some of the numbers behind the 6,000 or so cannabis business licenses issued so far in the state of California. This one's rich in number and details, so I'd click over if you're into Golden State cannabis policy, which you all should be. Finally, for today, an interesting story out of the world of the NFL, with CNN reporting on the case of professional football player Mike James, who was denied last week the right to use medical marijuana to treat pain from an ankle injury. After injuring his ankle back in 2013, Mr. James was prescribed opioid painkillers, which he soon developed an addiction to. He was able to shake off his addiction after switching to medical cannabis to treat the lingering pain, and recently appealed to the NFL for official permission to keep medicating. On Thursday, however, he was denied that appeal by the NFL. This is a story that repeats itself countlessly in football and other sports, and is one you should have a good handle on. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with Marijuana Today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.